on CBS This Morning.
15 minutes now after the hour, and still ahead on CBS This Morning, America's most livable cities. Money editor John Stairs in Raleigh, Durham. Plus, pediatrician T. Barry Brazelton talks healthcare and Halloween. And Bugs, Daffy, Roadrunner, and the biggest Warner Brothers store around.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Edie Magnuson for Paula Zahn.
Just ahead in this hour, Dr. T. Barry Brazelton talks healthcare reform and a little trick-or-treating.
Plus, a Manhattan store where you can take home all your cartoon favorites.
And John Ritter and Marky Post say Hearts of Fire is all new and all better. Please watch. All coming up on CBS This Morning.
23 past the hour. Just ahead, a brand new Hearts of Fire starts an all-new season.
That's Bugs, Wile E, Coyote.
Tweety, Sylvester, they're all at the brand new Warner Brothers mega store here in New York City. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Edie Magnuson for Paula Zahn.
Do you ever notice these guys that dress up in these things? Is that a live picture? Are they still standing around? They're standing there.
Oh,
See?
there they are.
They're standing there saying, oh, yeah, well, what are we supposed to do now? They can't talk. They never let them talk, right? They just, woof, woof, woof.
But they're awfully cute.
They are very cute. I'm Harry Smith. Just ahead, master animator Chuck Jones takes us on a live grand tour of the brand new Warner Brothers store over here on Fifth Avenue. Of course, he created most of those guys, so we'll have some fun with that.
That's right. Also,
Now, the question I want you to ask him, Harry, is where did he get the name Bugs Bunny? Harry?
That's the top question.
There
That'll
you
be
go.
my first question.
Okay.
I will ask him in just a second. It was just like a Hollywood premiere last night. The stars turned out to celebrate the grand opening of Warner Brothers' flagship studio store in the heart of Manhattan. And of course, being Warner Brothers, some of the stars weren't quite human, like Bugs, Daffy, Porky, and Roadrunner. The store officially opens for business today, and we are about to get a sneak preview, and our guide is the man who played a major role in creating Warner's galaxy of cartoon stars, our old buddy Chuck Jones. How cool a place is this? Morning, Chuck.
Good morning. Morning, Harry. You interrupted my morning snooze. Well, I used to being up this early.
Look, Mark McEwen said this is the most important question we have to ask you this morning, and that is, how did Bugs Bunny get his name?
Well, somebody made a drawing for a man named Bugs Hardaway, who was a writer. And so if he'd been making the drawing for me, he would have said Chuck's Bunny. But this man's name was Bugs, so he said Bugs Bunny. And we may have been foolish part of our lives, but we weren't that foolish to ignore such a thing.
Such a good idea.
Right, all we did was say, thank you, God.
So among the things that you have on display and that are for sale there are these cells, the individual pictures that make up cartoons. How many go into like a 6-minute short?
Usually about, 4,000 to 5,000. And the director does probably 300 or 400 of them to give attitudes, like when the coyote's falling, when he looks at the audience. He does those key drawings, but similar to this, of course, would be the pencil drawing, and those are the tools of our trade, really. The entire picture, when it's finished, will be done in pencil form so that we can see how the action works, and then later the color is added to it. And this would be Wile E. Coyote's usual position when he's falling.
The music and the chords descending.
Yeah. And you see him go fall away into the distance, then you hear that distant poof.
Right.
And that's people laugh at it.
I still
Thank
do.
Goodness.
I still do every time I see it.
Sure.
Now, do you all still do it that way because you're still cranking these things out, right? Do you still do it the same way?
Well, actually, I'm just. Sounds ridiculous. I'm 81 years old, and I'm signing a new contract with Warner Brothers. In fact, I signed it yesterday, and with the top people there, and with Bob Daly and Terry Semmel. So I'm going to be doing some pictures for them again. But what they insisted upon, Harry, was that I be given, that they wanted 30-year options on my services. So I said, well, if you have that much faith in my longevity, I'm certainly willing to go along with you.
Well, yeah, the guys have certainly worked out. Hey, we've got some tape we want to look at, kind of a tour of this place. Can you help us understand what we're looking at here? There's Superman.
Well, yeah, that's one thing we couldn't, none of my characters could resist because of the muscle with Superman and Batman and all those goodies. And those people are just too powerful for even Bugs Bunny to resist. So they're here. I'm not sure that Bugs and Daffy and the rest of them are particularly appreciative of them muscling in on us, but 90% of the things here were done by a small band of men whose pictures have been put up on the wall over here.
Yeah. Sure.
However, when I step on this escalator, this ended all our cartoons. That's all, folks. But when you get to be 81 years old, I hope that's not the last thing I say. That's all, folks. Anyway, this little group here, this evil group, were the ones that made all the cartoons. Now, you may be surprised to know that I can go backwards up an elevator, one of these damn things. But that's the whole group. But I want to say hello particularly to Prince Freeling, who couldn't come because he was getting a new hip. I have a new hip, too, and mine's a little older than his new hip.
Yeah.
You see these beautiful sculpturings that are done here.
Unbelievable.
And up there you'll see Pepe Le Pew practicing calisthenics on a cat.
Yeah.
And hi, group. Good to see you. Very nice.
I wonder, does it keep you young to be surrounded by that sort of craziness?
Well, if you think 81 years old is staying young, it's very kind of you. I appreciate that, Harry. But I very seldom get a chance to sit on Humphrey Bogart's lap, but it's the only thing available. I'll have to find out whether Lauren Bacall, I think she fell into his arms because she couldn't sit on his bony lap.
What are you drawing for us this morning, Chuck?
Well, I thought I'd just sketch out as fast as I can. You may not believe it, but all of our characters have a skull. So if you're doing Bugs Bunny, you put the ears on first because otherwise you'll have to bend them over.
Yeah.
So this is what old Bugs looks like. For starters, then he has these nice cheeks. I call them Sonia Henne cheeks. Because remember when old Sonia Henne, if anybody doesn't remember her.
We do remember.
Well, when she smiled, her cheeks were so round that you can only see this much of the smile, see? So when you're drawing Bugs Bunny, you make a little bitty thing here, and then the eyes usually go at the same angle as the ears, which gives you that sort of impish look, you know?
I'm going to let you draw, and we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and look at the finished Bugs, if you don't mind. All right.
Okay.
We're going to take a little break, and we're going to be right back. 22 minutes before the hour. So we're live down at the Warner Brothers store, the brand new store over on Fifth Avenue that opens today officially. Chuck Jones, the guy who's been drawing these characters, Warner Brothers guys, forever and ever and ever. Chuck, there's a big exhibition of your films that's going to be opening in Washington. What's that all about?
Well, I just think they must have been scraping the bottom of the barrel and decided that I was the most, I was the saddest one here, so they decided they'd do a tribute to my films, which just shows how hard up they are.
So now,
it'll run for a year, and the work was done by a bunch of high school students who have always loved animation, and so it's a very interesting thing. Yeah. And it makes me feel like an artifact. But what the hell? I'd rather be an artifact than nothing. I mean, after all, if you come around and say, would you rather be nothing or be an artifact? I'd say, I want to be an artifact. I've got to be an artifact, or I'll hold my breath and turn blue.
I cannot believe how quickly you can draw these things. It's just amazing.
Well, I tell you, the producer I had at that time used to come around with a stopwatch. A stopwatch and a whip.
And how many in a given day? How many cells in the old days were you expected to crank out?
Well, they dealt in feet, which is say 35 feet. Today, an animator can probably do 10.
Wow.
But of course, I was paid $35 a week.
Well, that was plenty.
That was $1.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Well, let me put it this way: if you have a bunch of children, you're going to have a favorite. But if you value your health, you won't let the others know which one it is.
Not especially with those guys behind you like that.
Well, that's the way I felt. You know, if I'm drawing Bugs Bunny,
Take care, Chuck. Thanks a lot.
We'll
be back.